My name is Daniel Robbins and I'm the Senior Curator at Leyton House Museum. Frederick Leyton, who built the house, extended it with the construction of what was called the Arab Hall at the end of the 1870s. And this was an extraordinary interior, really designed to display the collection of tiles that he had assembled, mostly from Damascus, which followed his travels in the Middle East. So Leyton travelled first to Turkey in 1867, and in 1868 he went to Egypt, and then in 1873 he travelled to Damascus, and he went to visit a missionary who was in the city, and they travelled through the city and were able to acquire textiles and metalwork, and also began to collect the tiles which were to later be built into Leyton's Arab Hall. There are about 1,000 in the house altogether, most of which date from the end of the 16th century, the beginning of the 17th century, and most of which come from Damascus. He said he built the hall as something beautiful to look at once in a while, was his response to it. I visited this house first when I was a student, and it was the house itself that really intrigued me, this extraordinary fusion of styles, of influences, all brought together in the single vision of Leyton. We're now in the dining room of Leyton's house, and part of his motivation for building this house was to create somewhere where he could receive guests and he could entertain, all of which would help establish his reputation and his profile as an artist, a young artist in London. He was the president of the Royal Academy. Part of his role was almost to act as an ambassador for art in this country. So creating a beautiful dining room where guests could be entertained was very important. The house was deliberately designed so that you would come up the grand staircase and out into this enormous painting studio. So Leyton would be here to receive you, and you couldn't help be impressed by the place in which he worked with his paintings around the studio, some of them at different stages of completion. It was definitely a room not only to paint in, but to create an impression of how an artist lived and worked. Leyton was really the great classical painter of his time. He had a great knowledge and understanding of the art of the past, back through the Renaissance into antiquity. At the moment we have Leyton's most famous picture here on loan to us for an exhibition, and this reunites the pictures he showed for Show Sunday in 1895, the very last pictures that he sent to the Royal Academy before his death. And Flaming June has a remarkable story of how it disappeared in the 20th century, only to be found in a house that was being renovated in the 1960s. It has emerged to become a work that people who don't even know who Leyton is or know of this house recognise this picture and enjoy it. We're very excited to have it here until the beginning of April, reunited in the house with the other pictures he painted at the same time.